Rob Edwards, Gerhard Struber, someone else. Who is going to be the new Bristol City manager? The mystery is still very much unsolved. It's been about a week and a half since Liam Manning's departure was officially confirmed by Bristol City, and we've been looking for a new head coach since then, and presumably even a little bit before that. So we've had time, not loads of it. There's a bit of time pressure considering pre-season is two weeks away, so we don't want to take a hell of a long time with it. But it was reported last week that Bristol City wanted to complete an appointment by the end of this week. It is currently Friday, the 13th of June, so how likely that is questionable. Probably going to be start of next week, maybe middle of next week, that Bristol City officially appoint a new manager. But we have come down to three names, and Rob Edwards is on that list. I made a video on him 2 weeks ago where he looked like, well, he definitely expressed interest in taking the role at Ashton Gate. We'll talk about Rob Edwards in a bit because there have been some new developments since then about another job in the Championship that he might be in the running for. Gerhard Struber is a name that's kind of been mentioned in the last week or so and has become a really strong candidate. And I know betting markets are can be a bit of a weird place, and maybe we look into it too much because it is a liability, not a probability. At the end of the day, you put money on it, and the odds are going to shoot, especially if not a load of people are putting money on it. Put 50 quid on something, and yeah, goes right to the very top. But it has been revealed by loads of media sources reporting that Bristol City actually do have him on the shortlist alongside Rob Edwards. And the final candidate, who we can't talk about because we don't know the identity of, is a foreign head coach. And now that might be a foreign coach working in England. This is completely delusional, but maybe Danny Roll, someone like that. Or maybe someone not in England who is a foreign head coach working outside of the UK. Now, that would seem a little bit more feasible. So those are three candidates that look like Bristol City have narrowed it down to, amongst a load of other names that have been flowing about, like Dave Chalner, Richie Wellens, even recently, likes of Tom Cleverley and Michael Carrick, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Those are three names, well, two names, and an extra one who we don't know about that Bristol City have ultimately come down to. Let's start with Rob Edwards then. I made a video on him a couple of weeks ago, which you can watch, and that was a bit of a lowdown on Edwards' managerial career so far at Wolves in the academy system, and then at Watford, Forest Green, Watford, and then Luton. Obviously, his successes, his sort of failures, Luton's dismal season last year, and I think I came to a conclusion that it would be a good fit for Bristol City. And I think I still stand by that to a large extent, and I think he'd be a decent appointment for Bristol City. There have been moving parts with Rob Edwards because it has emerged that, and again from a lot of a lot of good sources, that he is in the running for the Middlesbrough job, which has come up now, unfortunately for Bristol City. So there's more direct competition with us, and he's also in the running for the Bristol City job, and he might well be the front runner for that Middlesbrough job. I think it was revealed that Danny Roll was on the shortlist, Steve Cooper was on the shortlist, so there are options for both sides. The whole job has been filled by, I think, Kirovic, who's come over from Turkey. I'm sure we wouldn't have been looking at anyway. The QPR job it's not been official yet, but it might well be sooner rather than later. I think Julien Stéphan, the French manager, looks like he might well fill that position. So there is competition. The Sheffield Wednesday job is still maybe, and the Leicester job is still sort of maybe, might well be open sooner rather than later yet again. So there is a lot of teams still looking for jobs, still looking for managers in the Championship, with only a couple of weeks left, as I mentioned, till pre-season. So it's crunch time for Bristol City in terms of we've got to appoint a manager quickly. And Edwards, if he was offered the Middlesbrough job and the Bristol City job, I think the question is, what job would you take? Would you take the Borough job? Would you take the Bristol City job? City obviously finished higher than Middlesbrough last season in the playoffs, and I think naturally you'd go, surely you take the Bristol City job, but it's similar to Norwich in a way, is why Manning left Bristol City to go there. Is there a higher upside to Middlesbrough than there is Bristol City? Steve Gibson is not afraid to back managers. They look like they're going to be selling Hayden Hackney for a lot of money, so there's an influx of cash coming into Middlesbrough, possibly. That might well be a really good avenue and a really good job for a team below sort of the parachute teams in the Championship. I would say Middlesbrough is probably one of the best jobs in the Championship to have, below those sort of packer teams at the top. Does that mean that Bristol City is a bad job? Absolutely not. But I think if Edwards was given a choice, he might well take the Middlesbrough job. But Edwards has been in this part of the country before. He's openly expressed his interest in the Bristol City job. But there is that fear, I think, in me. If Edwards was given both jobs, he might well take the Middlesbrough one. But you let me know down in the comment section down below. Right, so the second name that we know about on this list is Austrian head coach Gerhard Struber. Now, that name definitely rings a bell because he was manager of Barnsley during that COVID season, and they miraculously, spectacularly survived on the final day away at promotion, automatic promotion, chasing Brentford on the final day. If Brentford had won that game, they would have got automatically promoted, I'm pretty sure. So Barnsley did unbelievably well to go there and win in the final minute of the season to secure survival. Obviously, a caveat to that, Wigan had that points deduction, and obviously that was incredibly sad, and Barnsley were the benefactories. Is that the right word? Benefactory of that particular situation. But Struber got the job done, and ultimately he did what he was set out to achieve, and he did it in spectacular style, and did it whilst, what I'm hearing, playing some really good football as well, with maybe a poor team in Barnsley. In hindsight, you're looking at that Barnsley team now and going, "That's some good players in there," but at the time, maybe not the case. Corley Woodrow, Dominic Fraser, Alex Mower, really good Barnsley players. Connor Chaplin, really good players at Barnsley at one point. But yeah, it kind of all reshuffled, and Struber left the following season, very early on in the following season, to go and work for the Red Bull Group, and he did so over in America with New York Red Bulls. He had an extended period over there, and then went to RB Salzburg, where he managed in the Champions League. Probably the best club competition in Europe, and had relative success again. Was okay there, and then went to Köln, one of Germany's big clubs, and in the second tier of the Bundesliga, you'd expect Köln to be right up there. That's my very limited knowledge of German football, by the way. And he had them up there whilst doing so, 2 games before the end of the season, he was sacked. Had a little bit of a rough patch just before getting sacked, but is it unfair? Is it harsh? Maybe, but Köln eventually got promoted. But a lot of the foundations laid by Gerhard Struber after their relegation the previous season, I'm pretty sure, Köln. So, yeah, look, I think he's a good manager. What I'm hearing from Barnsley fans is a lot of good football, but high intense, a lot of running, and yeah, those forward players that we've got at the moment, yeah, they're going to be doing a hell of a lot of pressing if Struber's the manager, and it's not necessarily possession heavy. It is good football to watch, sort of possession based style, but it's not necessarily, I don't know, on a scale of Russell Martin to Tony Pulis, it's somewhere in the middle. So look, it's a good. I think it would be a smart appointment. I think it would be an exciting appointment from my perspective. I don't think Bristol can do a hell of a lot worse, not a hell of a lot better than Guy Struber. He's got a lot of promise about him. And if this works, well, we'll be getting, I think, a lot of sort of positive momentum from Gerhard Struber. But I think there's also a potential real bad downside to this. If this starts badly, if he's not backed and he just goes, well, we're left in the dark again. So look, there would be, again, another sort of twist in all this. There would be a lot of changes needed probably in the summer to sort of back his style of play. Whether or not we can afford to do that, we don't know. I'd say this group of players are pretty flexible in terms of what manager would come in. They could adapt to that style of play, but there is certain limits, and Manning had to sort of cope with that last season, second half of last season as well. So, look, I think it'd be a relatively exciting appointment. There would be sort of concerns, but I think Gerhard Struber alongside Rob Edwards are 2 pretty solid names I think Bristol City could have opted for. To be honest, at the start of this manager appointment process, I wouldn't have had Struber on the list, but if now he's on there, I'm not against it at all. Well, City have only had one other foreign head coach in our history. Struber would make it 2. The other unnamed candidate is a foreign head coach, reportedly. And again, could be literally anyone. Could be a different Austrian, could be German, could be Italian, Spanish, French, Portuguese. Who the hell knows? Felius Mazu was sort of branded about a little bit. That looks like it's rubbish. I've not got a clue. I really don't. And honestly, if I did know the name, I probably wouldn't know who they were either. So I wouldn't be any more knowledgeable about them. My hope is Bristol City can conclude this quickly and can conclude this swiftly and just get on with pre-season and getting players in through the door, because the squad needs a little bit of a reshape. Not complete open heart surgery, but minor tweaks I think is needed for this Bristol City team. If I was a betting man, I would probably put my money on Struber, which in just the way, well, the rumours have ramped up really, and the fact that he's now pretty much certainly on the shortlist. So I would not mind that in the slightest. My money would have been on Edwards, but now that Edwards has been sort of branded with the Borough job and looks like he might well be the front runner for that job, I'm a little bit more sceptical over whether he gets this British job. But to be honest, either of them, I wouldn't mind. And a foreign head coach, well, would be exciting. Would be a bit unknown. That has worked. We've not really gone down that route in a long time, but it's worked for other clubs. Why not us? It's also been a bit of a disaster for some clubs, but I think there's a good system going here, and hopefully that can be inherited by the new head coach. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on who will be the next Bristol City head coach down in the comment section below. Struber and Edwards look like they're two of the names that are on there. Third head coach is on that list, but who the hell is it? I have not got a clue. I'm very, very sure you don't either. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll probably be back when there might well be the Bristol City managerial appointment.